Welcome to another installment of our series. And tonight, we have the clown crossing for you. In 2004, a group of college students went missing while traveling along an abandoned carnival route in Quezon Province. This footage was recovered from a broken camcorder found by the roadside. They called it the clown crossing. Our story begins with a group of Filipino vloggers driving down a dark country road. The year is 2024, but the vibe is very early 2000s found footage horror. Our first glimpse of Jules, who is holding and operating the camcorder, reveals a brightly lit dashboard with a radio tuned to a Taglish love song. Marco is behind the wheel. In the back, Elaine sits next to Brix, who is goofing around and filming with his phone. They chat casually about their day while passing empty fields and run-down houses. As they continue down the dark road, the mood shifts. On the side, they pass a rusted carnival sign that reads, "Clown Crossing, Slow Down." The group acknowledges the eerie landmark with nervous laughter. Jules asks Marco to slow down so he can capture the entire sign in frame. But as soon as he does, they hear a loud honk. Startled, Jules jerks the camcorder up just in time to see a shadowy figure darting between the trees along the roadside. He turns to the others, eyes wide, with a hint of panic in his voice. "Guys, did you see that?" As he does, a red balloon drifts into view, floating eerily over the road. "That's freaky," says Marco. They drive on in silence for a few moments until they spot something in the middle of the road. "Whoa," says Marco, slamming on the brakes. He parks the car and gets out, motioning for the others to stay in the vehicle. "Let's just get some shots real quick and bounce," he says, gesturing to the dashboard cam in Jules's hands. Jules and Elaine exchange uneasy glances, but Elaine shakes her head and tells him to just keep driving. However, before they can leave, a clown suddenly pops out from behind a tree. "Boo!" he yells, startling everyone. The sudden appearance of the clown sends them all scrambling. Marco yells at the clown, then grabs Jules's camcorder to try to get a closer look. As Marco approaches the clown, the image on the camcorder becomes distorted, revealing only a white face peering through the trees. Meanwhile, the clown continues to approach the car. Everyone is screaming and panicking, unable to see his face. The clown reaches out a hand toward the camcorder, causing Marco to stumble backward. He drops the camcorder. They hear a knock on the roof of the car and see a red balloon float past the window. Then, just as suddenly as he appeared, the clown is gone. They hear a loud crash and look back to see the van's tire has been slashed. With the engine dead, they are trapped. One of them says, "We're gonna die," as they hear footsteps approaching. The scene abruptly changes to a gas station 2 miles away. The time on the digital clock reads 3:33 a.m. Elaine is seen alone in the passenger seat, barefoot, screaming hysterically. The security guard tries to calm her down, asking her where her friends are and why she's at the gas station. But Elaine doesn't answer. Instead, she turns to the camera with a chilling smile, her mouth smeared with red, and whispers, "He said, it's my party now." The next day, a search party was organized for the missing vloggers, but only Elaine was found. She was taken to the hospital, suffering from severe trauma. To this day, she is the only survivor of the clown crossing incident. What do you think? Was this creepy, pasta, scary? Did you like the video? Let me know your thoughts. Also, if you haven't yet, please subscribe and share this channel with your friends and family. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. The children's hospital was in a tizzy. A new therapy clown had arrived. His name was Dr. Patches, and he had a miraculous effect on the young patients. Kids who were dying started recovering at impossible rates. Of course, this wasn't actually reported in the medical journals. Miracles don't tend to be, but the staff noticed and whispered amongst themselves about the clown with the rainbow wig and the red nose, who seemed to be defying the laws of medicine. The night nurses spoke in hushed tones of identical nightmares plaguing the children. They all dreamed of a smiling clown who came to them in the night and took the hurt away. But what the children did unrealize was that what the clown took was more than just their pain. It was their very essence of childhood innocence. When the sun rose, the children were inexplicably well, but they were different. Something was taken from them, leaving them hollowed out husks of their former selves. They were like puppets with the strings cut, left to wander the hospital wards aimlessly, repeating the same phrases over and over like broken records, their eyes vacant and staring into the middle distance. Dr. Patches was beloved by the children and the hospital staff, lauded in the local newspaper for his seemingly miraculous work. Every day he would don his costume, a tailored purple suit with a matching top hat and a jaunty red bow tie. Underneath it all, he wore a surgical mask, a stark white against a riot of color. No one thought it strange that a clown would take such pains to cover his face. After all, it was only when he was off duty that Dr. Patches ever removed the mask, revealing a haggard old man with sunken cheeks and eyes like a burned-out furnace. No one knew where Dr. Patches came from or how he managed to acquire his peculiar set of skills. But no one really cared. To the hospital administrators, he was a marvel, a freak of nature that drew in the crowds and brought hope to the most hopeless of cases. One day, a social worker named Emily noticed that one of the children she was working with seemed oddly unaffected by her new doll. A brightly colored Raggedy Ann that Emily thought would cheer the child up. The girl just stared at the doll, tears streaming down her face. When Emily asked her why she was crying, the child simply replied, "She's so ugly." Puzzled, Emily asked, "What do you mean?" "She's beautiful." The girl shook her head, sobbing uncontrollably. "No, she's not. No one is." Emily went to the girl's room later that night and found her weeping softly into her pillow. The girl told Emily that all the children were going to die. "He comes for us in the night," the girl whispered. "The clown. He takes the hurt away. And when he's done, we're all empty inside." Startled by what the girl had said, Emily went to the hospital library and pored over the records of the children Dr. Patches had worked on. She found something else they had in common. Each child had been inexplicably cured of their illnesses, cures that defied explanation and were, in fact, impossible given the advanced stages of each child's illness. As the clock tower chimed midnight, Emily made her way through the darkened hospital corridors to the pediatric ward. She peered through the window into the room where Dr. Patches slept. In the faint light of the moon, she could see his face. His skin stretched tight over his sharp cheekbones, his eyes gleaming like polished gems in the darkness. A strangled cry escaped Emily's throat as she watched Dr. Patches rise from his bed, his skeletal fingers flexing. He moved with an unnatural grace, fluid and silent, like a predator preparing to make its kill. Emily stumbled back from the window, her heart pounding in her chest. What she had seen in that brief, fleeting moment was not human. It was something else, something ancient and evil. As dawn broke, Emily raced through the hospital, desperately searching for the children. "He took them away," she whispered, "but he'll be back. The clown always comes back for more." My story today comes from a Reddit user. It was my son's 7th birthday last week. He and his friend were asking if we could hire a clown for the party. Now, I wasn't keen on this, but we let it go. My wife found an old newspaper clipping of a local clown called Giggles, the birthday clown, making children smile since 1994. The article said to call 555-987-64 bookings. So my wife gave them a call. The clown's name was Barry, and he sounded very cheerful. He said he was fully booked until next week. But when he heard it was for my son's birthday, he made a special exception and booked us in. The day of the party arrived, and the clown turned up right on time. He dressed in a full clown outfit, white face paint, red nose, the works. And he even did a little dance when he arrived. My son and his friend were very happy. Now, the whole time, I couldn't help but feel something was off about the clown. He was a bit too enthusiastic, and his smile seemed a bit too wide. But I put it down to me just being a bit of a party pooper. When the kids were distracted by a magic trick, I stole a glance at the clown. That's when I noticed he didn't seem to be blinking. I thought he was odd, but I figured a clown probably wouldn't blink much anyway. Then, during his balloon animal act, I noticed again he didn't seem to blink. Still, I put it out of my mind as I didn't want to ruin my son's day. After the party, the clown took a bow, and my son and his friend gave him a big round of applause. As the other parents were chatting with the clown, I went to the sink to wash my hands. I looked at my reflection and noticed my hands were shaking. Then I looked at the clown in the reflection. His smile seemed to shift in the mirror. I turned to look at him directly, but it was too late. He had turned away and was now speaking to the other parents. His back was still towards me, but I could see his shoulders were shaking like he was trying to stifle some kind of laugh. I wanted to tell the other parents about my concerns, but before I could, they were ushering their kids toward the clown for photos. I decided not to worry the other parents and just keep an eye on things. However, as the afternoon wore on, more and more parents came up to me, visibly shaken, saying they'd seen the same things I had: the non-blinking, the shifting smile. Now, I've never been good with clowns, so I was really struggling at this point. I told the other parents we should get the kids away from him, but they were all hesitant. Then we got a call from another parent whose child had gone missing. She had been sitting on a nearby bench just a few minutes ago, but now he was nowhere to be seen. We all started to panic and ran around the park, calling for the boy. Eventually, we found him sitting on a tree stump. He was unharmed, but very scared. He had wandered off, but luckily hadn't gone far. We were all so relieved. However, a few days later, there was a news report about a group of children who had gone missing at a birthday party in a nearby town. It was the same birthday party clown service we had used, and the newspaper clipping my wife had found was from 1994. The original Giggles had disappeared, along with 7 children at a birthday party that ended in tragedy. The case had made national headlines at the time, and then just sort of faded into the background noise. The clown in the picture was the same clown that had come to our son's party. To this day, we don't know what happened to those children. And honestly, I don't want to find out. That was our podcast. If you like this kind of scary story, we release new episodes every Wednesday and Friday.